As you've got older, have you ever wondered, all this work, all this experience, all these things I've done, why don't I get paid more for all this stuff? Well, how would you like to know how to do that? I'm going to show you how to convert your origin story into cash. This is Speak on Stage. My name is Dave Crane, and I specialize in helping you to jump and grow wings on the way down. So this is episode 2 of Speak on Stage season 4. Now this is partnered by the previous episode. If you haven't seen it already, then you should go back and watch it. It all links in together because the older you get, the more you realize that all this experience isn't being valued properly. And that's why I want to share with you. Welcome to the podcast. This is Speak on Stage. My name is Dave Crane. And it's really about how can you turn over 50 and convert your origin story, like an origin story like superheroes have, into cash. Because you're probably thinking it's harder as I get older to justify my job. That's because you've never told people what you've been through. That's because they've never asked, what if you packaged it in a way that made them go, wow, yes, you're the one for me. What advantage would that give? Well, that means that you're unsackable, but it also means that if you do convert your position to start a side hustle or maybe even become a consultant, people instantly say, yeah, you must be brilliant at this because I know who you are and what you've done. So who should watch this show? First of all, you should watch it if you're a CEO and a founder of a company because you want to position yourself as a leader. Senior executives and directors, vice presidents and C-level independent thinkers, you are also wanting to say, right, by the way, everybody, I'm really good at what I do. If you're an entrepreneur or a startup, you can raise your visibility and bankability with this. Consultants, freelancers, be seen as a top expert in your field because people warm towards you and you resonate with them. Industry analysts, your credibility opens more doors and opens conversations because they see you as somebody who can really help them. Academic leaders, you can influence as a subject matter expert when people know that you do know your subjects. Authors and speakers, your speaking opportunities become even bigger when you become a whole person in front of them. They know it's not just about that book. It's not just about the one subject. They're fascinated by your entire history. Sponsors and followers will come as well. Game changers, if you've got something you want to change in the world, then this makes it much easier for the next generations to follow you because they buy into who you truly are. And if you're over 50, I've already mentioned decades of cutting edge, practical, proven experience that nobody wants to pay attention to. Well, they will after you do this and you know how to get them to go, wow, wow. You are worth more than I ever considered before, and you'll also feel that too. Now, if this resonates with you, then this is a perfect show for you. So, season 4, and welcome if you just joined us, because I've got so much to get through with today's show.
Participating in Dave
Now,
Crane's
I have shown you
program.
this before.
Dave
This
Crane
is my legacy.
One of the best coaches in the industry.
I'm not going to show it again because you can see on previous episodes or find it online, but let me share with you that this whole packaging, this whole thing is going into my brand new book, which is called The Thought Leaders Playbook. That'll be available on Amazon and other good book download stores very soon. We're going to have a grand launch. I'll let you know more about that as we go. But meanwhile, if you want to make sure that you get onto this, if you want to become a thought leader, and you say, Dave, I'm going to get your book, but I would like to work with you directly, let's not waste any time. The Thought Leader program has been around. The Industry Icon program, I've been working with probably about 100 decision makers around the world, and every single one of them steps up and makes between 5, 6, and 7 figures as a direct result of working with me. Almost guaranteed. I won't say guaranteed in case you don't do any work. And when you come back and say, Dave, I'll say, well, there you go. Okay, so there's a QR code for that. If you want to check in it, then you can do the QR code and apply to join the Industry Icon program. Similarly, if you want to become a business rock star and you're saying, Dave, I want to join you, but I'm not sure how to do this yet, I've got a very special free gift for you. All you have to do is use this QR code. If you're not sure where to go or you're listening to a podcast and you can't see anything, then there's a QR code which you can't see, so I'm not helping you. But I will say if you go to www.speakonstage.com/rockstar, www.speakonstage.com/rockstar. Then everything I share on this show, or a lot of what I share on this show, you can catch there as a free download PDF, and then you register and you get to find out when my book is coming out and all the other stuff that goes with it. Meanwhile, if you want more practical stuff, join our Turbo community. We've got about 400 people online on WhatsApp, absolutely free, and all you have to do is just join us there. There's a QR code there, but the details will be on this podcast. If you just go to www.speakonstage, in fact, forget the URL you see at the bottom there, just DM me directly or have a look at my socials. You see plenty of places where you can join our online community. I do a 5-day challenge where I teach people how to be brilliant at what they do. The next one's going to be about the origin stories. So if you're enjoying what we talk about today, then you need to make sure that you join that community, and there will be a 5-day challenge for you to go through to then make sure that you've got all your origin story in place. So let's start right here. It's ultimately about business storytelling, which is like a martial art for anybody who runs a business or anybody in business. The more you can tell stories that resonate with people, the more it feels like they're not being boasted at, but they're coming on a journey with you. And it's it's like a martial art in converting sales and doing marketing, because people remember when they were kids and they were told stories that are really fascinating, and as a direct result of that, they don't resist the stories you're telling them unless it's utter rubbish, but they go with the characters and they go with the experiences, and it lights up different parts of their brain as they go through the entire experience, as opposed to just telling them the facts of, we doubled our ROI last year by opening new markets in blah, blah, blah. No, when you tell a story about clients who experienced how much it improved their lives, that really resonates. But here's the thing. I'm going to give you a story now that's going to be really effective for you. And when I thought about this, it blew me away. So I'm going to just do this. Jimmy Carr, who's a British comedian, is a bit cheeky and sometimes is a bit irreverent, but he's very, very funny, shared this on a podcast with Stephen Bartlett that I listened to the other day, and it blew me away. And it's such a simple line, but when I tell you about it, you'll go, oh, okay, I get this now. Here's a phrase. Having a child is like having a major surgical operation where your heart now lives on the outside. For those watching, having a child is like a major surgical operation where your heart now lives on the outside. Your heart being your child. If you're a parent, does that choke you up as well? Thought it might. Now let's have a look at your story. Now, I'm going to ask you some questions. You can make notes as you go along. You can watch a podcast over and over again. These questions are not available at this moment in time, but you can get all the stuff in the book when it comes out, or you can get the Rockstar thing I mentioned earlier, the PDF, and just register for that. And it's kind of like covers a bit of it, but not quite the whole thing. This is brand new and fresh just for you. If you're watching this live, then leave comments in. I'd love to know how you're coping with material. I'd like to have your encouraging thoughts and find out where you are. But if you do ask any questions, I will come back to you. Even if it's a replay later, I do check to see exactly what the comments are and if there's any way that I can help you. Or message me directly. That usually helps too. So let's start the questions. Here's your first question. And I have given this before, so you should know the answer. What does society value most? Society as in for thousands of years, any country, any nationality, any location on the planet, societies are societies are societies. Doesn't matter what color the people are or what they believe in. Same thing. What do they value most? Answer is status. It's a status game that's being played everywhere. And this is at the heart of what it is what we're doing with the Industry Icon program, Game Changers. And it's what I teach people to be a rock star with our online communities as well. So what does status mean? Very simply, it comes down to three main areas. You need to have dominance in what you do. You need to show you've got success in what you do. And you've also got to believe in your own stuff. So that means that you need to display, and I've talked about this before, dominance would be like a Messi, Leo Messi or Cristiano Ronaldo, just won so many awards as the best footballer on the planet between them that there's no argument they've been the best of their generation. Success is like an Elon Musk making a ton of money from doing tech stuff, and you can't argue with him being one of the richest men in the world, if not at this moment in time, or maybe tomorrow or the day before, the most rich man on the planet. Third is virtue. And I'm not saying third in any particular order. They're equally valuable, but most people don't have all three. Virtue is a belief that what you share with people is what you truly believe. So they turn around and say, yeah, I trust you completely. And you put all these things together, that's what society values. Now, most people don't have all three, but you can. I mentioned this before by showing your warmth, by showing your sincerity and your expertise as well, and also by showing people that you do what you say you're going to do and you help them. That's how you do it. That's what industry icons are trained to do. So you got the idea of why people do value all the stuff we're going to be talking about. Good. So how do you use all this stuff to succeed? Good question. And that's what you got to ask yourself. How do you use all this stuff to succeed? Well, most people don't do it. Most people just go along and they believe that their job description or their business card is who they truly are and they just live with that. But no, that's not the game at all. Your business card is what somebody's hiring you for. But you may be a lot of other things, and you may have a whole experience of different jobs, industries, and successes that aren't covered by that business card. When people look at your LinkedIn profile, they can see more about who you are, what you do, but that might not even be the whole picture. So let's look at that whole thing. Let's start with a couple of questions. This question, first of all, in fact, my phone is ringing. Have a look at this. I'll just name and shame who it is. Can you see it? These guys are going to ring me up, some financial brokers, and say, can you please buy our trading thing? Hold on, let me just put it on. Hello? Yeah, I'm not interested. Could you please block my number and remove me from the list? Thank you so much. Thank you. There you go. And I'll make sure I block them as well. I get about 3 or 4 calls a day. And is it because I'm loaded? I'm quite clearly giving money away. No, I'm giving you insights away. I'm not loaded, but I am full of love and life. I'll give you that much at least. So here's the question. Which things have you never told anybody? Because I don't need you to tell me right now, but I need you to think about them. Why? Because you normally hide them inside. Don't hide them inside. They are really important to who you are. But we kind of put them to one side because society doesn't value them. Now you need to. So what part of your expertise is most valuable? These are questions I'm going to throw at you. The hypothetical questions and the rhetorical questions. I want you to buzz them in your head. You can either answer out loud, in which case I can't hear you, I'm on a screen. Or you can just make a note of them. Or you can play this again and go back over it because it's really important. What part of your expertise is most valuable? As in, what will people want? What will people want to hire you for? What thing throughout your entire career have you just said, leave it to me, I can take care of that and it will be brilliant for you? Okay? Next up is this. Who will pay you for that and how do they need it to be packaged? So who will pay you for this and how do they need it? So it might be that you're brilliant at sitting in meetings and then watching what goes on and then suggesting something that nobody else has thought of, that everyone goes, wow. And if you were an entertainer, you drop the microphone, walk out the room, people go, oh, wow, you've just changed our game. We never thought of it like that. Is that something that you do? Are you a brilliant genius who walks in and just changes the game? How can you package that? Could you become a consultant? Could you be a mentor? Would you be a coach? Would you be on a board of directors? Maybe you'd be part of somebody's brain trust. I don't know. I'm just throwing these questions at you. Okay. Have you ever cross-referenced your own life? What do you mean by that, Dave? Well, when I say cross-referenced your own life, I mean, look at who you are and what you do. Everybody does that. I get that. But do you actually look at who you are, what you do, and how you came to be like that? And all the things that sort of challenged you, and you're thinking, I can't be like that. I can't do that. Or this was a terrible time for me. It taught you something as a learning curve that you probably tried to escape from. Have you ever leaned into it and seen if there's a pattern there? When you start leaning into it and realizing that all the things happen not by accident but by design, but your reaction to them is really important, then you start saying, I can utilize this pattern because that gives me a ton of experience. And here's the thing. This is what I love about this whole process, and I hope you're with me enjoying this as well, is when you look at these answers, and when you look at these experiences, and you look at how your life has meshed together, and you cross-reference it and say, well, that's been a wow. There isn't a degree that covers this. There isn't a job description that covers it. There isn't a course you can go on, apart from mine, that covers this, that lets you do what you need to have done to become you. Only you went through that. And it's only now you're thinking, what, is that worth something? Yes, it is worth something. I'm going to show you exactly what soon. All right. So what do people say about your brand when you leave a room? Do they say, oh, let's find out who they are on LinkedIn? Maybe. Do they look at your business card? Or do they turn around and say, they touched a nerve with me. That was interesting. I'll definitely follow up. I'll be in contact. What do you think of that? That was brilliant. I don't know. But your brand is what people say about you when you leave a room. You need to think about that because there's a number of different networking questions. There's a number of different ways that you dress, you carry yourself, how you give yourself to other people. And the question I haven't put onto this list, but it's really important, is do you think every time you meet somebody, what's in it for them? What do they get from your interaction? Is it going to make them happier? Is it going to make them money? Is it going to make them feel more comfortable? Is it going to make them go, wow, that saved me a number of years? What is it? Because if you just go, me, I'm important, everything revolves around me, people are going to walk away. You don't care who I am. I haven't told you any secrets about me today. All I've done is gone on about you, and you're going, this is really good. Now, if you're over 50, this is essential. Why over 50? Because over 50s are being shoved out to retire early. What's the point? You're going to live another 50 years. Or they're being moved into like pastures new. Can you go over there? We've got young people who are half the cost of you, haven't got a family, who can kind of do what you do, not the level that you can do it, but it saves us a fortune. That's happening all across industries everywhere if it's not AI that's pushing you out. So one of the things I'll share with you as a freebie is if you are worried about AI, one of the ways to counter it is to start thinking about what is the acoustic version of who I am and what I do. What do you mean acoustic version, Dave? Well, and it's not what today's presentation is about, really. It's about, when you've got to be a certain age. Have you ever seen MTV Unplugged? This is something that was big in the 90s, really. And what it was, you get the famous rock bands and pop stars and everybody who go to fill big stadiums full of audiences that go mad for them, but instead they put them into a really intimate setting. In a bar with acoustic instruments, people drinking wine or Coke or whatever it would be, and chilling out cups of tea and coffee, and they're just playing their songs, sometimes with no electronic stuff at all. So it would be acoustic guitar, some pom-poms, maybe a bass, it doesn't matter. They're not plugged in, it's unplugged. And what you realize is suddenly, when you take away all the special effects, you've got a really good song and an incredibly talented person underneath everything. And you appreciate them on a whole new level because they're doing it live and not naked, but feels naked, vulnerable, transparent in front of you. That's how you beat AI if you're wondering about how to work your job. So let me give you an example. So if you're a lawyer, nobody's interested now in your years and years of studying law because you know the case of Smith versus Roe and what that led to in this, second chapter of blah, blah, blah. What they are interested in is your interpretation of where people should go next. Doesn't matter how much AI you throw at it. The acoustic version of you as a lawyer, not the brain box that studied forever, the experiences. When you turn around and say, yeah, you could have that argument, but you know what? A couple of times I've seen that fail. What I have seen work is put that to one side. Let's go down a different argument, a different thing to change people's minds about this. And then you've got a better chance of getting success. That's acoustic. That's not something that's in the books. That's not something that you learn from AI. You learn it from experience from real people. Does that make sense? Good. All right. If it doesn't, I don't care. All right. What do people say about your brand when you leave a room? And when they say that, who are you really? Is that true? When they say that is you, if you walk back in and go, I didn't leave, I was just outside the door listening. Yes, that's me. Well done. Or would you just say, no, that's terrible. I can't believe that you only think that's me. Well, they're only thinking it because A, they don't care, and B, they only got what you gave them. So you need to work on your brand. So what matters most to you? Does it matter that you fix this? Does it matter that you work it out? In my opinion, if you want to have a life of purpose, it really should matter to you. You should not spend the rest of your life chasing job descriptions. Because when it comes to the end of your life, yeah, you've had a family, maybe. You've had loved ones, maybe. You've traveled the world, maybe. But did you find you? Did you do what you were put on this earth to do? You're probably just going right now, I don't know, Dave, I've never asked myself that question. What do you mean? Well, if you're thinking that right now, then I'm glad I've caught you at this moment in time to start throwing questions at you. Who in the mirror looks back at you and says, I wish you'd never done that? It's so easy, or used to be easier, to jump into a job that's got a career path and goes all the way through until the very end, managing director of a law firm, managing director of, I don't know, bakery, whatever it would be, founder, whatever it is. But what if you're not doing what you really want to do as opposed to what you've always done? You just took a job and you took a degree because everybody else did. What if you went to university in your mid-20s or 30s and didn't go before then? So when you left school or sixth form with your A-levels, whatever qualifications, depending on where you are in the world, you got a job. And you started working in different types of jobs until you discovered what you really want to do. And then you took a degree related to what you really want to do. You didn't just jump into one because everyone else is doing it and you just wanted to get out the house. Are you with me on this? This is asking questions that most people don't get to ask until it is too late. So what matters most to you? And once you work that out, how can you harness that to boost the trust and credibility that you create in the market? So when you say, this is me, this really matters to me, how can you get people to turn around and say, you know what, I really buy into you now. Now you've mentioned this, I didn't think so. So for instance, let's give an example. When you've got somebody who does a job that, supposing you've got, I'm picking on lawyers, I shouldn't really pick on lawyers, but I'm going to do it anyway. Lawyers are known for being cutthroat. They're sticking to the law, whether they like it or not, that's the way it is. So you've got a prosecution lawyer who just basically takes people down all the time. So you've done this, I'm going to prosecute you, you're going to have to pay this fine. And you're going, what horrible person? Not that horrible person, maybe, but let's just say, horrible person, I can't really afford it, you're giving me a hard time, please have mercy, stop doing it. And you're going, well, that's just who they are. Then you find out that they actually take the profits from their job and give it to a hospice. Or they give it to another charity, or they help people who are disfigured from fires or war zones or overseas. Do you know what I mean? Suddenly you start going, well, I can forgive you for all those other things because there's a fully rounded person who does this stuff. Does that make sense to you? It's important because at the moment you're not sharing that with anybody. You just share it with a handful of friends and maybe they don't know. And the truth is maybe you don't know because you've not thought about it really well yourself either. So let's look at this. Let's just get a basic idea about why this is relevant and how it all comes together. And if you listen to the podcast, I'm sorry, I'm sharing with you a diagram about what the client's objectives are about working with you. In fact, I've got a slightly better one. Let me see if I can just find this and share it with you. Not that it's going to matter to you if you want to listen to the podcast, but there you go. Okay, it looks more swanky, doesn't it? What all clients want is these 6 things. The buying process is this. What's my headache? Number 1. 2. Who can fix this? Google it. 3. I've got a number of people. I've chosen a short list. I've got that one I really like. Are they the best fit? If the answer is yes, they move on to number 6. Sorry, number 4. I need to learn to count properly. So number 4 is, will my headache be gone if I invest in working with them? Number 5 is, I like them. I think they're the one, but can I get it cheaper than going with them? And the answer is no, you have to go with them, then they have no choice but to work with you. That's your job. That's what you need to do. That's what you need to create. So therefore, you need to be the best choice of people. That's a number of different things I won't talk about with today's session, but you get the general idea about what it is that we're talking about, the importance of thinking like that, okay? So, with me, it's simple. I am exactly who I say I am. My name's Dave Crane, and if you Google me, don't Google David Crane because that's the right of friends. If you Google me, you'll see that there's a long history of years, I'll say 50 plus years, of working in entertainment and helping people. It's all there. I've done it for a very long time. So there we go. Prince Charles there. Prince's Trust is King Charles now, of course, and that's me 30 years ago, looking very young, very innocent. No grey hair. Look, same haircut though, almost. A lot less of it now, working with young people in the UK. So that's important because you need to think about who you are and what you've been doing all this time. So as you're thinking about this, I'm going to throw another curveball into your way of thinking. And if you're driving and you're listening, I apologize, but keep an eye on the road as you're going. Which core wound have you been fighting against your whole life? Let me explain. We are who we are as a learning curve. We either learn or we avoid it. But most of the time we learn somehow through what it is. But sometimes we're trying to get away from something in our childhood. It could be our parents. We might be trying to avoid being like our mom or our dad because, they were terrible people. I'm not going to be like that. I'm never going to give my kids a terrible childhood, or I'm never going to get married because I saw my parents divorce at an early age. It's not worth it. Or I'm never going to have kids because I don't know how to bring a kid into. It could be all these different things, but there's a core wound at the heart of you that whether you know it or not, because it could be subconscious. In fact, I don't think I've got a diagram to explain how your mind works. If I've got one, I'll share it. And if not, I'll drop it into a future conversation. Yes, I have. Look at this, right? This is how your mind, oh no, not really. But kind of, it works. So everyone sees the success, but they don't see all the other things that go on below the surface. It kind of illustrates what I was talking about, but it's not everything I wanted to talk about. But you get the general idea. We don't see the real you. We don't really know what you've been dealing with. So what is a core wound? Because when you embrace it, you realize there's a pattern here, and I'm actually a genius, either avoiding this thing or leaning into it, or my entire life has been spent on a project of fixing it. Think about that for a second. Your entire life has been spent fixing a problem. Now, if you're a senior decision maker in an organization and you've created millions, maybe even billions for a company, then project comes on, takes maybe 3 months, 4 months, 12 months, a couple of years to get through to sell the product and get it out there and make all the money and a return on investment, get investors, blah, blah, blah. But nobody's considered that your life, your whole life experience is also a project about getting over a core wound. I hope this is resonating with you because I want to talk about it. Let's look at mine. My deepest wound was, I mentioned this at length in the previous audio or video of Speak on Stage, episode 1. Go back and watch it, or watch it after this, and you'll understand how I related this stuff to me. This is all about you. So I grew up as a black English kid in 1970s Scotland, and I realized that being English was a big challenge. Being black was never a cakewalk. And so subconsciously and consciously, I was trying to fit in and prove my worthiness. But instead, I end up feeling more isolated and outcast, which once it's formed at a very early age, it continues throughout your entire life until you find a way to come to a natural stop. And my natural stop actually came after COVID, when I asked myself a lot more questions about who I am and what I do. And I realized that this was my core wound. This is what's been making me drive myself so hard my entire life. And I'm actually over it. People like me, if they don't like me, I couldn't care less. Don't pay me, don't hire me, don't talk to me because you don't like any of those things I am. Fine, somebody else will, because I'm really good at what I do and they'll value it. So fine. So I kind of got over it. So this is me as a child in some show, and as you can see, standing out like a sore thumb, but at the front of the stage. But I also realized that for me, I realized years later that my parents had said, we can't put him on the stage anymore because it's too cutthroat for him to be in that industry. He's on his own, he's going to stand out, and it's going to be difficult. So I had to fight against this my entire life and try to find myself when I was never really encouraged to go back into entertainment. And I became a lawyer, which is why I keep going beep, 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 and poking at lawyers. At least I studied law and dropped out and crashed and burned miserably. So which inner struggle has prevented you from getting life happiness? Now, you might already have life happiness, in which case I believe that the way that this would work is like having a splinter. You know, if you get a splinter in your finger and you're going, and you're thinking about it, and a tiny splinter will do very little damage, but your entire body switches off on trying to get your attention. It just goes, no, something's invaded, it's not right. And you go, try to pull it out, and you get, scratch, maybe get a pin, pull it out, and got it out. Oh, the relief. Tiny speck of blood, if that. Got it out. Now I can go back to climbing this mountain. Thank goodness for that. The splinter came out. You shouldn't really climb mountains if you're that sensitive. I don't know. I don't climb mountains. Okay, so with that in mind, which inner struggle have you been dealing with that prevented your entire life happiness? You may be successful already, but everybody has got one. Everyone's got something small, tiny, huge that's been driving them. And it might be that it evolves into different chapters or evolves into a different monster, but the same core element is at the heart of it. So with that, what does nobody see about you? Because most of it's invisible to other people. I mean, here's the thing. Despite working hard to connect and engage, and I'm an expert at connecting with people and profiling them and getting their Wi-Fi code, that's why I'm so good at working audiences. And you're thinking, Dave, well, what do you mean working audiences? Let me just share with you an example of me working an audience. And I'll give you this one, me live in Rio. Now, why is this an important version of it? Well, because very simply, me live in Rio is speaking at a fintech event to about 3,000 people, of which about 2/3 of them don't speak any English at all. They're all wearing headsets and getting translated into 13 different languages, which means that if you're talking to them and you're resonating with them, you really, 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 really have to be good at communicating a message. So when it gets translated into lots of other languages, it still has the same impact. Here's an example about how that works. What happens with success is very simple. You have a change to make. You have an event you have to prepare for. You work really hard or you don't work really hard towards that event, and then the event happens. After the event, it could be a driving test, it could be a job interview, it could be a relationship. You get a result. The result might be good, the result might be bad, but it's just a result. It's not a failure, it's just a result. Now, what most people don't do is ask for feedback. They don't ask to see what they could have done to change it. When you do ask, you can learn how to change the game. So therefore, you have never failed. All that's happened is you did something and you didn't get the result you want. You can go back and do it again, or say, you know what, I'm going to do something different. So there's an example about me being on stage, connecting with people, but remember, this is the kid. Can you see me? Can you work out which one was me? I'll give you a clue. If you go 3 rows down and you go right to the opposite end of where I am now, second to the end is me, standing out like a sore thumb. And yes, I did know, and yes, everybody else did know, and yes, I am friends with many of the people now, even 50 years later, with the people on that photo. So I have no issue about that, but it still drives internally, subconsciously, below the surface, and you have to deal with that. And the thing is, if you're dealing with this and you're being challenged by it, who else is affected? There are millions of people like you around the world, maybe even more than that. They will resonate with your story immediately and go, just like me. I went through that. That's why doing something like, if you take Barnum, the famous guy, Barnum, who was running circuses across America, and he would go in and he put a poster up with a phrase, and the phrase would change, but the whole point of doing a Barnum phrase is you'd look at it and you go, oh, he's speaking to me. That resonates with me, and it might not. It's not aimed at you, but it's generic enough for people to go, yeah, okay. How would you like to... I'm trying to make one up now. I shouldn't really do it on the spur of the moment because I'm sure it's not going to work. So, Barnum phrase, you're waiting for an experience that will change your life. Well, here it is. Now watch it. I look at the posters. You're waiting for an experience that will change your life. Yeah, that's true. I am. Here it is. Oh, the circus. Really? The circus is going to change it? That's the one for me. You see what I mean? So therefore, there are lots of people who will be affected by your story, but you need to work out what your story is first before you do it. So for me, it was always trying to fit in. My entire life had different versions of me, always trying to fit in. And bizarrely enough, there's a story behind each one of those pictures, not least the fact I got to speak at NASA, which justifies me wearing, is that spacesuit pajamas and having a helmet? Let's not go there. So how can you escape from your comfort zone? Because right now you've built a comfort zone around you where you're thinking it's really important that I stay here, Dave. I love watching your shows. I love listening to your podcasts, but I'm also thinking this is going to be scary. This is going to be difficult. And I'm telling you that it is. But I'm also telling you that it's really important that you do. Because for most people, this is a factor. 2% of people actually stand outside of their comfort zone and do something about it. 98% stay inside. They're insecure, they're just surviving, they're full of fear, they're just getting by, they've got a dull life, they play it safe, full of regret and procrastination, and they're used to settling for less. But 2% don't do that. They get outside of their comfort zone. They go follow their dreams, embrace the unknown. They're always scared, but always excited and always thrilled when things come through, exploring new thrills. When you see a actor talking about a movie, they usually talk about the experience of being that character. They don't often talk about, sometimes they talk about the movie set or the people they worked with, but it's often about being inside that character. Imagine if you were being inside the character of you being your best self. Now you're saying, Dave, yeah, okay, that's fine. But here's the thing. Your comfort zone is that big. The rest of the world is much, much bigger. The magic happens there. The magic happens is when you leave where you are right now and go do something that's really different. And that means leaving everybody behind sometimes to find this incredible new world, new life, new experience. It's really about learning to jump and grow wings on the way down. And if you don't do that, then you spend the rest of your life wondering, what could I have been? What could I achieve? What would it have been like if I'd done that? And that's what most people go through their entire life. 98% of people probably do, until something comes along that's so horrible that they have to then rethink who they are and the choices that they've made. So how can you escape your comfort zone? You have to. So what changed for me to make this? I made a choice that rather than escaping being an entertainer, I would embrace my talents as an entertainer and just entertain and stop wasting time on things I sucked at. I went away to law school. I crashed and burned badly. I realized that I'd been a DJ as well all the way through law school. That was good. That was successful. Didn't pay a huge amount, but I really enjoyed it. What if I leaned into that? I sold insurance, hated it, worked in a clothes shop, quite liked it, was interacting with people, paid rubbish money, and then I got persuaded to go away. That's another story. So what's the thing that made you really change? I mean, there's me, bizarrely enough. You can see me just on the end holding my friend Spud's leg, I think it is. Thanks, Spud. And I had a flat top hairstyle then. Yes, it was no need ever, but it was just useful to be playing rugby. I was actually the chairman of the sixth form student committee. Let's put that in perspective. 300 students answered to me. And I was on the board of the teachers as a student. Was I the only black kid in town? Yes, in town. In fact, this was collecting people from surrounding towns to go to the sixth form college and surrounding schools. So I kind of made an achievement there, but there's another story about why I kind of relapsed when I went to university, because I kind of peaked at sixth form and thought, right, that's it, I don't want to do any more now. I'd just rather find a new journey instead of carrying on the whole experience of wanting to be in charge and deal with stuff. And it's been something I've kind of avoided my entire life until now. As you've seen, I don't care about it now. I push myself out as many times as possible, creating communities and reaching out and helping, because I know that in the time I have left on this planet, I don't have the luxury of just going, you know what, let it all happen. No, if I can get people there faster, I will. So I forgot about that, the chairman of the student committee. Very interesting experience for me. Another story. So when did things change for you? When did you start becoming the person you are right now, where you overcame the challenges, or have you overcome them? So here's the thing. I found my true voice, my true entertainment side, when I went to university and I dropped out and I was DJing and at law school, I was hosting a family fun day at my local pub. I won't tell you the whole story because it's all there with images and stuff that goes with it on the podcast previously, where I talk about me being a DJ. And what was the big difference? It was a family fun day with lots of people coming down, taking part in competitions and games and quizzes and all sorts. And the local community came to this big bar, this big club with an outside garden and stuff. And we did stuff in the car park. But I spent a lot of the time not playing music, but walking around with a microphone, entertaining. And I realized I was really, really good at that. No music, just me. I enjoyed it, and I could keep talking forever. You probably realized I'm kind of good at doing that now. And then a guy came along who mentored me, a guy called Gus. Stories there you can catch up in the previous episode. Who mentored you? Who noticed that you were special? Who turned around and went, wow, that's the person I should be working with, or that person needs a bit of help. I'm going to take them to one side, tell them some stuff, give them a roadmap, and then I'll disappear. I don't have to work with them. They just will have enough to work with. Who did that for you? They may no longer be with us. It might be a parent, or it might be a complete stranger who just paid it forward. But bear in mind who they were and what they did, because I guarantee it did exist. For me, it was a senior DJ, Gus. All the whole story is there. And he arranged for me to go away to the holiday camps, leave my entire job, my town, all my belongings away, and go and work on a holiday resort to be a professional full-time entertainer. And I went away and did that. And there you go. That's me doing that job. With my arms in the air, and that's the first team I worked with. It was a challenge, and I could tell you a whole story. I could write a book about that whole story, but I probably shouldn't because of the illegalities of not the illegalities. Everything in it would be true, but the legalities of sharing the intimate stories without other people's permission. But it was You think you know soap operas? You ain't seen nothing yet. But it went on for me to do lots of stuff, working with big stars, Enrique Iglesias, and there's Jack Canfield and Brian Tracy, it's Spice Girls, Bruce Willis, famous tennis people, Vishen Lakhiani, Raymond Aron, working with... you can't really make it out from these pictures. Hrithik Roshan and there's Jeanna Lacey and there's lots of stuff there. I've done all this stuff for many years. So the question is, how does this all come together to prove that you are a solution to their headaches? Because when I prove to people that I know enough about my particular thing, which is broadcasting and helping people to become the best that they can be, and getting media that works with them, set up a podcast, writing a book, speaking on stages, it's evident, it's here. But how can you prove that you are the solution to their headaches? Now, they might not be interested in the stuff that I do, but they're interested in what you do. You might be a scientist. You might be a ticket collector. You might be working in a shoe shop for many years, but you understand the market and you understand shoes and you understand feet. I don't know, I'm making it up as I go along. You get the general idea. You need to bring everything together for your story to prove that you can fix their headaches. For me, I mentor people, decision makers, to jump and grow wings on the way down. I do that all over the world. I do with people online. Why do I do it online? Well, because you can now. People are happy to do it. I learned that during the pandemic when I reinvented my business to be the Industry Icon program. There's me training some speakers in person in the Google HQ in Dubai. But most of the people I work with are online, and I'll never see them face to face. If I do, then it's probably by accident or it's have to be by real design, but I don't need to. I just need to be able to jump onto Zoom. And I know there are other different ways of conferencing calls available. That's the one that I use. So, next thing we do when we've got all this stuff in place is we have to market your origin story. We've spent the entire show talking about the different elements that go into your origin story. Who are you? What did you fix? Who's interested in it? What was a big change? What were the pitfalls? What were the dangers? What were the difficulties? Once we've got that, we've got to get it out there. And that means building your brand. And you're thinking, right, okay, Dave, I'm in, but what does in mean? Well, that's a big question. But I'm going to give you a couple of things that you should consider for next time. This is part of a 4-program series, by the way. This is only number 2. The next one's going to be about pitfalls, and I'm going to bring it all together again in episode 4 of this season 4 of Speak on Stage. So some conclusions about life that I think you should consider. First of all, let's start with this. Nobody can save you. All right? This is what you're waiting for. Nobody can save you but yourself. And why are you still waiting to be rescued? You have all the answers you truly need. Number 2, the system is designed to make you invisible, weak, and unprotected. That's why it's been so hard so far. But if you can just say, you know what, I don't know how I'm going to find this strength, I'm going to jump and grow wings on the way down, then things fall into place. Number 3, comfort zones break down your immunity and remove your ability to survive life's toughest challenges. When you're inside your comfort zone, you get weak. When you're outside of it, you become strong. That's why when you catch a virus or something, they give you, a vaccine. And a vaccine, just in case you didn't know what a vaccine is a taster of the disease. So your antibodies start fighting against it. So when the real disease comes along, your antibodies have a plan to get rid of it. That's what you do. But you stay inside a comfort zone, you'll never find out, because by the time things hit you, it will really hit you big time. Number 4, you might be able to do it alone, but it takes longer and it's a lot less fun than working on it with somebody. Number 5, every single one of us, and I said this before, I won't talk about it too much, but it's really important. You might say, Dave, I've never done anything special in my life. Here's you talking about this, and I find it difficult to even stand up and be counted. I hate speaking in public, and I get paid the same wage, and I daren't tell my boss I want to get more because I might lose my job. Yeah, here's the thing. And you might not appreciate this, and it might sound a little bit rude, but it's completely true. You have already won your first race. Now, it's about procreation and being born, right? So I don't know if you know how people, do you know how babies are made? You know when mummy loves daddy very much, and you get it anyway. Okay, so you were the fastest out of 1,000,000 sperm to reach the egg and be successful in fertilizing it and surviving 9 months inside the womb. Then bing! Well, that's not the noise you hear. Pop! No, it's not that. No. The noise is irrelevant. The point is that you have already won your first race in life and you beat 1,000,000 others. When did you put the brakes on and never take them off again? Have a think about that. You've already got evidence that you can do it. I'm not saying go and get somebody pregnant. I'm just saying you get it. Okay, good. All right, number 6 is this. You're going to live to 100. You are. Even if you're in your 60s now, the odds are you'll live closer with medicine and with the healthier living lifestyle that we've got now and the different mindset and so on. You'll live to 100. Your kids will make 120 and newborns today will get to 150. So if you're thinking, oh, it's game over, it's not game over. Why are you retiring? You've just got ready to become a rock star, and you can be a rock star if you put your mind to it. Number 7, if you could write a story reviewing it, why would you settle for an average result? Because that's what you've kind of done with your life. You're going, oh, it's okay. Every week is a bit like the same. And then Christmas comes around, birthday or Eid or Chinese New Year or Diwali. These are really good times. But in between, I just function or just exist. Why would you have it so boring? Get outside your comfort zone. That's why I mentioned it before and showed you those pictures of what happens when you do. All right, number 8. Once you die, and this is a bit morbid, but it's true, it's only how your story helps others that truly matters. That for me is life after death. People talking about, or not even talking about you. I don't care if people remember me, but I hope that the things I shared with people have done enough to make their lives better so they help others as well. That's life after death for me. Okay? Number 9. If you're feeling sad, insignificant, or ignored, channel it. Say enough. It's a point where you say, I've had enough. Does that make sense? It's a tipping point where you say, right, now it's time to build my legacy. Because it'll only happen when you get to a point where you've had enough. Anything less than that is not enough. Let me illustrate to you what this is about. Let me just release my hair. All right, so here is my hair tie. You see that? If I stretch it and stretch it like this, you're thinking, Dave, it's going to snap. It's going to snap. And it might snap. Or go bing over there. Right, I'm pulling it now, my hair tie. If you're listening to this podcast, it probably makes no sense at all. But there's a tension between you, the viewer, or maybe not so much you, the listener, me pulling this, the elastic band that's going, why are you doing this to me? I was sat in your hair. Not that it thinks it's not a real thing. And possibly, I don't know what the other tensions would be, but the point is, you need tension in your life. You need to have things that wake you up and challenge you. If you don't do that, you'll never find out what your life is truly all about. And last but not least is this. If your friends don't get you, and many won't, if they don't understand, maybe even your partner doesn't, then maybe you need new friends. Am I saying you need a new partner? Not necessarily. I think the way to do it, and I have done it in the past, I'm lucky enough that my gorgeous wife Aziza understands me and she supports me and she works with me, but she doesn't want to be me. She doesn't want to do the stuff I do. She just understands that I am different. And we have constant arguments because we are different. She's a techie. She's an operations person. She's really into getting things precise and systems. I'm not. I'm a creative. I'm about holding a microphone and going in front of a group of strangers and just making everybody have fun together. Complete polar opposite. She doesn't want to do that, and I don't want to do what she does. So sometimes people don't understand, but it's best to find a way that you can still be together. So if you are finding that your relationships are difficult and the person that you're with doesn't really get you, then maybe you are in the wrong relationship, or maybe you shouldn't really try and test them with what you're doing. Just love them for who they are, let them love you for who you are, and share your journey with a different traveling partner. It could be a friend, it could be a colleague, it could be a mentor or a coach. It doesn't have to be your partner in love, because they're there to give you love and support as you. They don't need to know your journey or care about it. They care about you. Big difference. All right, so this list is here. I'll give you them very quickly. I'll give you a 5-second countdown to be able to do a screenshot of this. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. I lied. I did it a bit quicker. I didn't actually. I did it 5 seconds. All right. Got any questions? Was this good for you? If so, let me know in the comments. I'll be leaving the links for you to be able to follow up with all this as well in the comment section, just in case you're listening to the podcast and you're saying, Dave, how do I interact with this? Secret. There you go. All right, so my Industry Icon program has been put together to help you to get to the highest possible level. There are details about that available online everywhere. I'm not going to share with you this video about it, but I can say that my book is coming out soon, The Thought Leaders Playbook, and lots of the biggest hitters and biggest names in the thought leader industry, in HR and business and coaching, in online, in all elements have given a thought and a testimonial towards this book. You'll see it when you buy it. Okay, so if you want to be a thought leader and you want to do this fast, then get the QR code from this. Again, apologies if it's a podcast you're paying attention to because you can't see it. But you can do a QR code on here. If not, go to speakonstage.com and you see the details about the Industry Icon Mentoring, and that's where you take it. Similarly, if you want to be a business rock star and you're saying, Dave, I've not got the budget, but I want to start moving and I want to find out about your book, you need to be on my radar, because when you're on my mailing list, I can let you know faster than anything else. If you go to www.speakonstage.com/rockstar, then first of all, you can see me sneeze. Pardon me, my teeth came out. I apologize about that. They're somewhere over there. And you can get this, the PDF, the little book on how to become a business rock star, with a number of different ideas for you, and it's free. All you have to do is get that QR code and then just register, and then you find out when my book is coming out. And last but not least, our Turbo community, which is a turbocharged your career 5-day challenge, is on every month. You can join us for free. We've got over 400 people, decision makers all around the world, millionaires, royals, business owners, people who are students, a whole range of different people who hang around and take part in competitions because they want to be bigger and better at what they do. So if you enjoy what I'm talking about now, then that's perfect for you as well. And that kind of brings us to a close. I hope you enjoyed today's session. I certainly enjoyed spending a quality time with you, and I hope that you got enough from it to be able to say, right, Dave, I know that I have an origin story, but I'm not really sure what to do next. If you want more, then contact me directly. The details are always here, and I'm available on LinkedIn, or you can go to Speak on Stage and book a session with me. I'd love to be able to help you to get to where you need to be. If you missed all those links or the QR codes, rewind and go back. But meanwhile, I'd love you to comment. I'd love you to share. I'd love you to like this, and also let other people know that this is what we're covering at the beginning of this year as we speak and broadcast now. It's 2024, January 2024. You might be watching it 2025 or 2026. But at this time, people are making decisions about, why is my life the same? How do I make it better? That's why these next 2 episodes, in fact, all 4 podcasts of January, are really about finding your origin story, which, let's face it, is free. You've already put your time into it, and turning that into cash and finding out where you really need to be in the future. And I hope this has really resonated with you. If so, let me know. My name is Dave Crane. You are watching and listening and experiencing Speak on Stage. My job is to teach you how to jump and grow wings on the way down. I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye-bye.